Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today in gaming, Valheim is smashing the Steam charts, Due Process got a gunplay overhaul, Metro Exodus is getting remastered, and much more. The Viking survival game Valheim has been out for barely 2 weeks, and it's already clocking more concurrent players than PUBG, Grand Theft Auto 5, Apex Legends, and Rust. So far, Valheim has hit a peak of 391,000 concurrent players and is holding steady at above 200,000 players. It sold over 2 million units so far. It also shows no immediate signs of slowing down. Peak to peak over 24 hours, it's adding roughly 20,000 new players every day. Valheim seems like the latest overnight success story following Rust, Among Us, and Fall Guys. What makes the game's success so impressive is how bare bones it is. According to the game's Steam page, Valheim is 75% complete in terms of features, but only has about 50% of its planned content. It'll be in early access for about a year. In that time, the developers plan to add new biomes, enemies, and materials. They also plan on expanding the game's crafting system both functionally and in terms of available items to craft. There are 4 significant updates planned for 2021 and several new features in the works with no set release date. Predicting what games are going to blow up like Valheim is quickly becoming an art form. It's unclear if the trend of games blowing up and then slowly stabilizing is due to Twitch trends, how the Steam store recommends games, player interest, or a combination of all three. It is clear though that even the most obscure titles have a chance of becoming an overnight success. All that said, Valheim's developer is warning players to back up their characters and worlds ASAP. There is a bug in the game that will reset your progress if triggered. They believe it has something to do with using Alt F4 to close the game. Avoid forcing the game to quit and follow their guide to back up your data. Expect a patch out for the issue soon. Tactical FPS Due Process just got a massive update called Gunplay 2.0. It implements a top-to-bottom redesign of weapon recoil, firing animations, muzzle flashes, the ammo counter, and much more. In practice, this update feels like a huge improvement. The guns all have more natural-looking recoil that is easier to predict and manage. Before Gunplay 2.0, all the weapons had a jerky animation when fired. That made it hard to stay on target. I wouldn't say the new system fundamentally changes how guns behave, but it's much easier to understand what they're doing when you pull the trigger. The update also makes some quality of life improvements to the map overlay drawing system. You can now mute drawings from players. Doing so prevents all of their artwork from being displayed past, present, and future. It also persists between matches. You won't have to remute the same person over and over. You can also vote on drawings to form a consensus about which plan to follow. This is actually great because it allows for a lot of advanced coordination without having to use voice chat. I'll be doing a proper video about the update soon, so stay tuned for that. If you've been on the fence about Due Process or worried that the developers weren't up to the task of polishing it, I think this update is proof that they actually are on the right path. Metro Exodus might be 2 years old, but that isn't stopping the developers from keeping it at the forefront of gaming tech. 4A Games have announced Exodus is getting an enhanced edition on PC and the next-gen consoles. It adds full ray tracing, DLSS 2.0, variable shading, an FOV slider, 4K textures, and much more. 4A launched similar enhanced editions for the first 2 Metro games, 2033 and Last Light. Those games got Redux versions that ported them to Last Light's engines while making a bunch of improvements to the gameplay, AI, bugs, and overall polish. The upgrades being made to Exodus, however, are on a whole nother level. And while it might not sound like a big deal going from having 2 impressive but limited ray tracing options to full ray tracing options is actually quite a big deal. Every light source in the game will be ray traced. The original version of the game only offers global illumination, which is most obvious in outdoor environments. Flashlights, lanterns, environmental anomalies, and more are central to Exodus's moods and atmospheres. So making them all physical accurate light sources and adding advanced reflections on top of them will be mind-blowing to see. DLSS 2.0 will also offer a massive boost to sharpness and resolution. The enhanced edition launches this spring as a free upgrade for existing owners. It'll support both AMD and NVIDIA GPUs on PC, but requires a ray tracing capable one. So if your current GPU doesn't do ray tracing, you'll have to upgrade the one that does. On console, you'll get the bulk of the PC version's improvements except for advanced reflections and DLSS 2.0. On the Series X and PlayStation 5, it'll run at 60 FPS with ray tracing enabled. On the Series S, expect 1080p renderings at 60 FPS. Cold War and Warzone Season 2 is launching on February 25th. The date was revealed with a new cinematic trailer. The trailer also reveals some new weapons and other content coming with the update. The minigun, Galil, crossbow, and a new SMG are sprinkled throughout the trailer, which is set in what looks like the jungles of Vietnam. That suggests that we're getting some new maps or content themed around the Cold War's Vietnam missions. There's also speculation that a big update to Warzone is coming with Season 2. A new map, likely based on the Ural Mountains Fireteam location from Cold War, might be added to Warzone. There's also hints that a Zombies mode is on the way for the Battle Royale. Players have spotted a Zombies trials station and unusually stormy weather in-game. Payday devs Starbreeze are in a bizarre situation this year. They're hunting for someone to publish their upcoming title, Payday 3. Despite operating at a technical loss, they did manage to pay off a ton of debt. Payday 2 revenue grew as much as 60% depending on the platform. But if they don't secure a publisher, they might be closing shop at the end of the year. Starbreeze had major financial problems following the failure of their Walking Dead game. The game needed to make a profit in order to keep the studio in the black, but it tanked, taking any hope of recouping production costs with it. What followed was an investigation of the company's finances, layoffs, and Starbreeze selling off the rights to several IPs. Since then, however, the company has been doing well and slowly recovering. Hopefully they can secure a publisher for Payday 3 and keep the lights on. Nintendo have finally announced their next Direct event. It'll be a 50-minute presentation focusing on their 2021 games. It goes live tomorrow and will be the first Nintendo Direct since September of 2019. The 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda is this Sunday, so everyone is expecting some sort of big celebration during the presentation. There are also rumors that Nintendo have an upgraded version of the Switch in the works. I doubt we'll see or hear anything about that, but it's always a possibility. What's more likely though is we'll see a new trailer for the next Zelda game. Breath of the Wild 2 is launching later this year, but we haven't gotten a fresh look at the game for months. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is still getting major updates. Its latest update adds a new mode called River Raids. It's free for all players and lets you raid the same locations multiple times for better resources and loot. The update also adds 3 new abilities, 6 new skills, and fixes a bunch of gameplay bugs. River Raids are part of the Yule season event that kicked off last December. Before we get to our final story today, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll have continued coverage of the latest breaking gaming news over on the LevelCap Shorts channel, so be sure to subscribe there if you want the most up-to-date info. Dead by Daylight's devs are promising to tweak the game's updated heads-up display based on player feedback. They recently updated the game's heads-up display, making it more refined but also a little more intrusive. The feedback has been fairly mixed from players. In response, the devs posted a work-in-progress screenshot of tweaks coming in the game's next update. Players still seem annoyed by the changes overall, but the devs clearly have a goal in mind with the new heads-up display. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.